Hello, this is Ollie's Movie Madness, and I'm going to be doing a movie review of Captain America Brave New World. This film is interesting because I don't think it's all that bad. I think it's a decent MCU film, but I do think it is kind of the worst Captain America film in the MCU. Like, it's not a horrible movie, but I do think it is the weakest one out of the Captain America movies in the MCU. But I enjoyed it, so let's dive into it. So the film revolves around Sam Wilson, aka Captain America. You know, he is protecting the citizens, he is running the country the best he can. But then Isaiah Bradley accidentally almost kills President Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, and he gets arrested. So Sam Wilson has to do everything in his power to prove that Isaiah Bradley is innocent. But then you have President Ross trying to control his emotions because he has this thing called the Red Hulk, which is a darker side of him that he is trying to prevent from coming out. So he has to control that while trying to prove to his daughter Betty that he is not a terrible dad or a terrible person. He wants to prove that he has changed. So it's up to Sam Wilson / Captain America to take down the Red Hulk and take down Sidewinder and prove that Isaiah Bradley is innocent. And that's basically what the storyline is for this film. I think for the most part the storyline works and it's fun, but I think the storyline in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is way better. Now I talk about the performances. Now, I like most of the performances except for one. And we'll get to him later. But I do think Anthony Mackie does a great job as Captain America. I do think he is entertaining as the character. And the character of Sam Wilson / Captain America actually go through a very interesting arc. You know, he wants to prove that Isaiah Bradley is innocent. He doesn't think he would actually try to kill the president. And this was a mistake. Like, it wasn't Isaiah's intention to kill him. It wasn't really his intentions. It was something else that caused it. But I do think Captain America's storyline was interesting. Although I do think the original Captain America, played by Chris Evans, had a much stronger story arc in the MCU. But I think Sam Wilson is a really decent Captain America. He is entertaining to watch. And the scene where he's questioning Isaiah Bradley about, did you try to kill the president, is a really sad and really tragic scene because he wants to know if Isaiah Bradley is a killer or not. And I think that scene is one of the best moments in the entire film. The actor who plays Falcon, or Joaquin Torres, he did a great job. The actor who played him was great. The new Falcon actually had some funny moments. And he wasn't like overly silly. This movie is actually really serious. The scene where him and Captain America are fighting off the Japanese was amazing. I think having this movie centered around President Ross and the Japanese was an interesting idea. I think for the most part it executes it. It was really entertaining. You know, that whole battle sequence was amazing. Now let's talk about Esposito. Giancarlo Esposito as Sidewinder. Honestly, I didn't care about him. And I don't really give a shit about this guy. I really didn't. He's a great actor, but this is a giant waste of potential. Because, again, he should play Magneto. But they didn't do that. And I think he gave the worst performance in the entire film. In fact, I think Esposito is the worst actor in the MCU. Or the most disappointing actor, because he had a lot of potential. And Sidewinder is just a generic villain. I don't have anything to say about him. I really don't. You could have just written this character out. I said this on my podcast a few times. You could have just written this guy out and the movie would not be any different. But putting Esposito aside, it's not his fault the way the MCU utilized him. Now I talk about the big standout of the film, Harrison Ford as President Thunderbolt Thaddeus Ross, aka the Red Hulk. This was interesting. This was actually the main reason why I wanted to go see this movie, because I enjoyed the Indiana Jones actors in the MCU. Even my least favorite, Ray Winston, he wasn't bad. He was just kind of dull in the MCU. But Ford was amazing. Red Hulk as a character slash President Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross is an interesting villain because you really feel bad for him. He wants to change. He wants to prove to Betty that he is a good dad and prove that he's not a horrible person. And he has so many memorable lines. The one I remember is, "You're not Steve Rogers," in that grumpy Harrison Ford voice. It's one of the most memorable moments of the entire film. And in that same scene, he says, "Yeah, you tried to stop him, and Isaiah Bradley almost got me killed." Really awesome moment. It's actually interesting to have Short Round as the good guy in the MCU and Indiana Jones as the villain in the MCU. So that's really funny. That's really interesting. The Red Hulk transformation is pretty scary. It's actually really dark, and I do think Red Hulk is the highlight of the movie. Yes, I would have wanted the climax to go on longer. That's one of my problems with the film, apart from Esposito. But I think Red Hulk was a decent villain. He was actually a great villain. Now let's talk about the true villain, the leader, played by Tim Blake Nelson. He did a glorious job at the character. And the character of the leader was awesome. And the scene that I find unintentionally funny, the moment where you have the leader wear a coat and a hat, he screams at the top of his lungs. And I was in the theater, I was laughing about how silly that part is. But, the leader is kind of like Ares from Wonder Woman, how he's a puppet master, how he's manipulating people. And I liked everything about that character, even the monologue, "Just let it out, then your daughter Bay will already despise you than she already has." Really awesome villain monologue. Fuck the design though. I'm sorry. The design for the leader is shit. I hate it. I really do. Look, I get what they were going for. The leader's very smart. Then why the fuck did you make him like Brainiac? That's really the only thing I don't like about the character. The design looks like shit. I'm sorry, it looks bad. But everything else was actually really good. It was just the design that was so weird. Fun fact, before Tim Blake Nelson got to reprise the role, there were other actors eyeing up the role like David Tennant, Gary Oldman, Mark Ruffalo, James McAvoy. If I had to pick, I think Oldman would be a really awesome leader. He would have been epic. He would have been really awesome as the leader. It's Mark Ruffalo I can never see. Again, he's way too nice. He's not a villain actor. But it's kind of interesting that David Tennant was almost another MCU villain. I think he could have been an awesome leader. They just needed to change the design up if they did cast David Tennant. But I think Nelson did a great job. So overall, I enjoyed this movie. Before I go on, I almost forgot another actor, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, at the leader. I can actually see that, although it'll be kind of distracting because, you have Willem Dafoe, but then you have him just playing Norman Osborn with a big head. It's an interesting idea, but it'll be kind of distracting execution. But again, Willem Dafoe would be a decent leader. But back what I was saying, I enjoyed this film. The storyline, weak, it was actually interesting. The action sequences are amazing. Despite the climax being too short, but it did lead to a really emotional moment. Harrison Ford is the highlight. If I'm going to ask you to go see this movie, go watch it for Ford's performance. It is amazing. Yes, it's my least favorite Captain America movie. Yes, I don't like Esposito in the film. But overall, I enjoyed it enough. It's one of the more overhated MCU films. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's entertaining and it's fun but flawed. So I give Captain America Brave New World a 7 out of 10. It's fun but flawed, but it's entertaining. So that is my movie review for Captain America Brave New World. Hope you guys enjoyed.